Okay, so I bought that lot of Nintendo crap and this came in it. It is an absolutely disgusting Nintendo controller and I feel the overwhelming need to paint this, to clean it up and paint it. I just can't stand to see this poor thing in such terrible condition. So, ugh. Let's do it, shall we? Okay, well the first thing we're going to have to do is remove the 6 screws and see what the inside of this thing looks like as well. Because if the outside looks this bad, I'm going to imagine some of this crap soaked through to the inside also. These last 2 screws are completely rusted in there, so I'm going to have to try some different methods to get them out. Okay, so I managed to get the last 2 screws out by taking a hammer and tapping on the end of my screwdriver. Well, I put the screwdriver down inside there, made sure it was lined up with the screw heads, and then took a hammer and tapped on the end of it to kind of drive the end of the screwdriver into the rusted screw, and also to jar the plastic threads loose so that the screws could come out. So I did get it apart, finally. But you see, I mean, the damage on the inside isn't that bad. That crap didn't leak in too bad on the back cover. Ugh. Oh, man. Whew. There's a little bit of discoloration on the pads, but I'll clean that up with a little bit of probably vinegar. Wipe it off with a little bit of vinegar. It usually eats up corrosion pretty good and it's not too harsh. I'll soak all these parts in some probably some mean green and some soapy warm water and let them soak, and hopefully some of that funk will come off of them. That is terrible. Look at that mess. We've got to save this poor controller. I think we can do it. Okay, this is just some mean green, a little bit of dish soap, and some warm water. I'm going to take the plastic pieces and soak them. All the plastic pieces, all the buttons, start select rubber buttons, the pads, everything. Pretty much everything except for the main board of the controller. I'm going to soak in this warm water for probably like 5 or 6 hours, and then I'm going to scrub it with a toothbrush, and then I'll dry it off, and we'll remove the old sticker and we'll scuff it up and we'll get it ready for paint, because I'm going to turn this into a painting tutorial as well, because I might be able to get this plastic controller really clean, but it's got a lot of scratches in it that we can kind of sand out and, you know, repaint and make it look new, but just a different color. So let's see how that goes. Alright guys? The next step is take your sister's toothbrush. Alright, get our disgusting filth out of here. Scrub it off a little with the toothbrush. Get some of the big chunks off that we couldn't, you know, that didn't come off from just soaking. And you can see too, this controller has it's probably a cigarette burn or something right here, like a little dent. So painting this controller is not going to be a problem. We're not ruining, you know, anything amazing. We're taking a dirty, filthy controller that everyone suggested I just throw away, and we're taking some time and we're going to clean it up. And we're going to make it worth something to somebody again. You know, this was somebody's controller that probably came with their NES that they used every time they played video games. And to just throw it in the trash because it's a little dirty is just ridiculous. So we're going to clean it up, sand it down, and we're going to give it a paint job. I think the only color I have right now here at the house is yellow. So hopefully you guys like bright, vibrant colors, because we're probably going to end up with a yellow NES controller. Also in this lot that I grabbed was a really filthy NES Max controller. You can see it, I just threw this in there just now. You can see how dirty that is as well. We're going to try to clean that up, and if it doesn't clean up very well, we might paint that also. So keep that in mind. But I think we've probably got most of the funk off of this bad boy. Let's get the back case out. see what we got left on that. And then we'll rinse them off in the sink. We'll set them out in the sun to dry. And then I'll show you how to sand them and prep them for paint. What a mess. Let's see how clean just a couple minutes of soaking this NES Max. Let's see how clean it came in just a few minutes. I'm probably going to soak this for a few hours as well. But you can see how good the mean green and soap works. It's cleaning that up pretty much instantly. I mean, this still has some browning because it's permanently stained. But we're going to paint it anyway, so. But I want you to see how disgusting this water is. Look at that water. It looks like toilet water now. It's disgusting. Ugh. Alright, let's rinse this off in the sink with some warm water. Get all that simple green off of there. Then we're going to put it out in the sun to dry. Here they are out in the sun drying next to some spray paint. I got the spray paint warming up in the sun too, because the warmer your spray paint, the better it'll spray out of the cans. So also keep that in mind. Okay, next step is removing the Nintendo sticker. I'm going to use my little flathead screwdriver and try to get up underneath one of these corners. Not too bad, we got lucky on this one. I'm going to try to get this whole edge to peel up. A little bit of heat would probably help from a hair dryer, something like that. It'll probably help release the glue. I've had this sitting out in the sun for a while, so it's warm. Might make it a little easier. So I'm going to gently peel this back. I'm not going too fast because I don't want to risk tearing it. Now I've done probably about 5 of these and I've never tore. Oh, and there we go. Look at that. It was old and brittle and it broke right there. I spoke too soon. So I've done about 5 of these and I've tore 1 so far. Okay, and the sticker is off with just a little crack right there, which I don't think that's gonna hurt us too much. When we glue this sticker back down, I think it's gonna be okay. So I'm not gonna lose sleep over that. Okay, the next thing I wanted to address was that cigarette burn on the front of the casing. I'm going to take my Dremel tool. I got coarse sand barrel on it right now. I'm just going to knock that cigarette burn, the overlapping edge, see how it's puckered out? I'm going to knock that off with the rough, and then I'm going to go over it with a little bit of a smoother pad to get rid of any sand marks. So here we go. Okay, now there's still going to be a dent there. I'm not going to worry about the dent too much. I'm not going to fill it in or anything because I really don't. It's not going to bother me. And, you know, I'll either keep this controller or just give it to somebody anyway. So that little dent can stay there. It's not a problem. Now we have to scuff the controller. I've got a red Scotch-Brite. You can grab these at Advance Auto or O'Reilly's or whatever's in your area. This is just red. It's a little piece. You don't need the whole thing. You just take it and scuff everything. I mean, scuff the crap out of this thing till you're bored with it. You got to get out all the cracks and crevices. Scuff, scuff, scuff. This will actually, you know, this stuff's actually strong enough to take some small scratches out. So some of the lighter scratches will come out with this Scotch-Brite. And you have to make sure you get all the edges, you know, even the edges in here where the finger crud usually hides, down here where the cord comes through. I mean, everything, because you want your paint to stick to your plastic, and it's not going to stick to smooth, shiny plastic. So, scuff it good. Down in all the cracks, around the start and select button, around the D-pad, everything. You want to make sure this thing is nice and scuffed and clean before we paint. Well, all of our parts are scuffed front and back of the controller, as well as the D-pad and the buttons. You know, you don't have to paint the D-pad and the buttons, but I mean, since we got it apart and since we're going through all this mess, I might as well paint the D-pad and the buttons. Now, if your controller wasn't super filthy like my controller is, you don't really have to go through the steps of soaking it in the mean green and soapy water. But I usually do just wash them in the sink with some dishwashing liquid and a toothbrush, just to make sure that they're clean and the cracks are clean. So, you know, like I said, if your controller is not filthy, you can just jump straight to washing it after you take it apart, and then scuff it, and you know, pretty much follow these steps from now on. And these steps will work on any controller: Xbox 360, Xbox One, PlayStation, Super Nintendo. It'll even work on your consoles, Nintendo and all that stuff. Pretty much once you get it apart, you can clean it, scuff it, and paint it. So this method really goes for pretty much anything you could want to paint. Okay, so here's a little tip for the smaller parts. I like to take a little bit of painter's tape and lay it adhesive side up, and I use, you know, tape to hold it down on the corner so it doesn't roll up. And I tape the small parts to the tape, that way it won't get blown away, it won't get knocked around, you don't have to try to pick it up and rotate it when you're you know, spray painting or anything like that. Usually I use a spray gun with automotive paints to do this kind of stuff, but since I'm doing a tutorial, most people can get their hands on spray paint and not, you know, an HVLP gravity fed gun or something like that. So this is the best method. This is the best method. I just took some scraps of cardboard and put some tape on it for the shells and the buttons. Now, what we need to do now is take some clean cloths or paper towels that don't leave lint and wipe down our parts with some denatured alcohol or something light like mineral spirits. You don't want anything too strong like paint thinner, because paint thinner can melt certain plastics, and these are thinner plastics, so paint thinner probably would melt them. So just a little bit of even isopropyl alcohol will work. Anything to get, you know, greasy fingerprints off. But a lot of times if you wash them good enough and you keep them clean, you don't even have to wipe them down. But I always wipe them down just in case. So I'm going to wipe them down a little bit with, you can even use you know, cotton swabs to wipe down your parts. I'm going to wipe them down, and then we're going to take them outside and we're going to spray paint them. Okay, so I was going to do this outside, but the wind picked up a lot, so I brought it down here in the corner of my basement next to the door. I'd rather do it outside in a really well ventilated area, but you know, sometimes you just got to deal with what you got. So we're going to spray this in the basement. First thing I'm going to do is throw a little Duplicolor adhesion promoter. This stuff's fairly cheap at Advance Auto. It's not 100% necessary if you've done a good job scuffing your parts, but it is always a good backup. Now this just gets dust coated on, really light dust coat. You don't need a full coat like a coat of paint, just a really light dust coat that'll grab it. It'll help the paint bite. I'm going to spray some out in the air, make sure my tip's not clogged, and it's not. So little dust coat, just very lightly. And that's plenty. Okay. I guess the first thing we'll do is throw a coat of yellow on our controller shell, and then we'll get our buttons. It's not clogged, and here we go. Just our first coat is a light coat. Hopefully I'm not getting in the way too much. I was hoping to do this outside where I had room to walk around everything so I could get better coats, but it's our first light coat of yellow. Actually, since it's not windy in here, I can untape these so I can move them around a little bit. I just taped them down to the bigger piece of cardboard because it was really windy outside. With a light coat of yellow. And that's our first coat. We're going to let this dry for 5 to 10 minutes depending on your temperature. It's a little chilly in the basement, so I'm going to give it 10 minutes and then we're going to do another coat. I forgot to mention that I prefer to use these engine enamels because they coat really well with only a few coats, and I can clear coat over top of them with automotive urethane clear coat. So I like these. I mean, you don't have to use these, but I prefer them. I try to stay away from lacquer paints because lacquers have a tendency to be jerks. And then this stuff is pretty good too. I'm going to use this for the buttons, which I can also put urethane. Well, urethane clear coat will almost go over anything, so I'm going to use this for the buttons. It's white, so we're going to do yellow shell with white buttons. Okay, let's go ahead and do our first coat on our buttons and our D-pad. Make sure my can's spraying well. The good stuff about this Color Max is it covers really quickly. Sometimes with crappier quality spray paints, you'd have to do a lot more coats on a part that was black to cover it with any lighter color. So that looks like a nice light coat on our buttons. We'll probably do 2 or 3 coats, you know, 5 to 10 minutes in between each coat, just like the shell. You see how taping the parts to the cardboard makes this much easier. I kind of have full control of what I'm painting. I think that's good for a second coat. We'll do one more coat and we'll call that done. This is going to be one ugly controller when it's all done. Yellow and white. Ugh. Okay, last thing we got to do is throw a coat of clear on all this stuff. I'm just going to do one coat of clear for now because I'm going to go back and clear coat it again over top of the sticker later. Well, tomorrow probably when I get back to the shop. I added a little bit of black detailing to the directional button. I was going to add some more detailing to it and it wasn't working out very well, so you could see the D button got a little dirty, but that's okay. I'm just going to leave it like that and clear it all together tomorrow. I'm not too concerned with it. It's okay. I'm not going to lose sleep over this controller. Anyway, first coat of clear coat, I usually like to do light. I'm going to do just one light coat of clear on this to kind of lock everything in, and then take it to the shop tomorrow and put some real automotive clear coat on it. So I'm not trying too much to get a perfect coat on this right now. But yeah, medium wet coats with the clear is the best option. That way you don't put it on too thick and cause it to run. That should be plenty for now. And then we'll let this dry and we'll glue the sticker back on it. I'm going to do my best to glue this sticker back on and keep it lined up. It's kind of hard to do because I'm reaching over top of the camera. There we go. Okay. Just want to make sure it's going to line up. And it is. So let me try to peel it back up just a little bit. I'm going to leave half of it stuck down and peel a little bit of it back. That way I don't lose my alignment. I'm just going to put tiny drops. Make sure my super glue is working. Tiny drops of this super glue here and there, just to make sure it kind of helps the adhesive that's already still on the sticker. Okay. Anyway, we'll put our buttons back on. Put our little pads back on. Loop our wire up through here so the cord doesn't get pulled and stripped when you yank on it. Alright, and line that up. Okay, snap it back together. Let's throw a couple screws in here just for now. And here's our controller all put together. It's all done. Yellow and white. I got to repaint that D-pad because I hate it. I got it dirty trying to add detail to it. That's my fault. You know, I'm gonna take this controller back apart and clear coat everything, including the sticker, with automotive paint. So even the sticker will be nice and glossy when I'm done. And you know, I'll probably post a link to that at the end of the video or in a couple days when I get it clear coated. But yeah, I mean, for what the controller was to what it is now, I think it's come a long way. I hope you guys learned something from this video, and I'll do more if you need me to. And I would appreciate it if you guys would subscribe and check out my other videos. I've got some gameplay videos. I've got the video where I found this huge lot of Nintendo stuff with, you know, the Power Glove and all kinds of cool stuff in there. So check those videos out, you guys. I'd appreciate it. And thanks for watching.